Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video, we're going to bring an update about a video I did a little bit ago in Lake Powell and its historic low water levels. And this is April 16th, 2022, the Fed's weigh emergency actions as Lake Powell hits historic levels, historic low. So yeah, this has been coming on for a while. It's nice that the feds are finally acting. They should have acted a long, long time ago. You don't let waters get to historic low levels. You take actions before you get to an emergency point. And this is why, I'm not allowed to lead the environment because I would actually have solutions, which I do have. The environmental educator has the solutions the world needs, but you can't have solutions. And the way you get a good job is you just keep watching and watching as things get worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden one day you call it an emergency and you act like it just came upon you with no advance warning. But right here, last month, Lake Powell dropped to 3,525 feet. And now in this article here, drought-stricken West, emergency actions weighed over dropping Lake Powell water levels. It says that right here, operating the dam below 3,490 feet, considered its minimum power pool, is uncharted territory and would lead to even more uncertainty for the Western electrical grid and water deliveries to states and Mexico downstream. So 3,520 to 3,490, we're talking about 35 feet. And that's certainly not that much. And see right here, as Lake Powell falls, the dam becomes less efficient at 3,490 feet. It can't produce power. And actually, it produces less power. It can produce power when it's at 3,525 feet. But it really needs to be much higher than that because the higher the water is, the more pressure the water going through the dam has. And the more pressure the water going through the dam has, it produces more electricity. And there is about 5 million people that are dependent upon this electricity right now. And not to mention the water. And so now the feds have finally realized that we're in emergency territory. We've been in emergency territory. Okay, it's so sad. These people are paid good salaries and they are just truly incompetent. You don't let the situation get like this. They should have mandated water restrictions, severe water restrictions for the past few years. But, it's always next spring's, next winter's like snowpack in the runoff is then going to refill the lake. No. You don't take that chance, especially when you're in a drought, a 1,200, historic drought that's worse than 1,200 years. Okay, you don't take that chance that, well, it's just going to next winter, we're going to get the snow back. And they're still counting on that to raise the water levels for this summer. And let me tell you, I live in the mountains out west. There isn't much water to be running down into Lake Powell right now. Right here, over the decade, drought conditions have worsened. Several major California reservoirs have dried up, forcing people to evacuate their boats, causing hydroelectric plants to shutter due to insufficient water supplies to spin turbines. And here's reservoirs across California are well below their historical average. This is as of April 14th. And now right here, the blue is the percentage of capacity and the green is the percentage of historical average. So this reservoir is doing okay, 76%. We got 48, 38, 33, 38, 46, 32, 56, 36, 63. That's right here. 39, 54. That's not so bad. Historical average, the numbers are pretty high, a bunch in the 90s, 60, 40, 60, 60, 50, 43, 47, 66, bunch in the 90s over here, kind of on the eastern side of California. The historical averages are up, but yeah, these numbers, 39, 40, 38, 33, 38, 36. It's water is drying up out west. Here's the drought monitor. The red is, of course, the most severe, and there is just so much of the west in just a severe drought. And there's just no end in sight. And yet the experts, the people that are paid good sums of money, like Tanya Trujillo, Trujillo, the Interior's Assistant Secretary, where have they been on the job? They're just watching. Oh, well, it's going down, down, down. And then they just hope that well, next winter water, next winter it's going to come back because it'll snow. And they have just allowed this situation to get to this, as they call it, historic low. And here's another article. This is Fox 10. There's a bunch of articles out here about this. And that now they say, the feds say it may be necessary to reduce water deliveries to users on the Colorado River to prevent a shutdown of the huge dam that supplies hydropower to 5 million customers across the West. And officials had hoped snowmelt would buoy Lake Powell. Yeah, but and they still are. Oh, well, further down in some of these articles, I mean, we expect that the water level is going to raise a little bit because, although winter snowmelt, there is not much winter snowmelt in the mountains out west. Okay, I guarantee it. There is not much. It may carry them through summer. And then, in a few months, we're still back in this situation. It's, I mean, maybe it could just start raining and raining and raining. Who knows? But the point is, you don't let something get to this dangerous historic low level if it is your job to be managing it. But, the way you get a good job is to not be the most proficient, to be the person that will just let things deteriorate. This is almost like watching America collapse right in front of your eyes. And, of course, it's all about climate change. The best available science indicates that the effects of climate change will continue to adversely impact the basin. Who says it's climate change? Who? She's just, sending out the government's message. Climate change, climate change, climate change. Droughts happen. Okay? And we know from just, some videos I've done, I've pointed out Dane Wigington points out Geoengineering Watch. Many other people pointed out geoengineering. They're doing tricks. They maybe the people in power of the geoengineering just don't want people in the West. I don't know. There is no absolute proof that this is climate change, but of course, this is a top government official, so she's just going to. She says that a bunch of places and comments that she says. So in more, what I consider to be pretty much incompetence, that same lady, Tanya, asked for feedback on the proposal to keep 480,000 acre-feet of water in Lake Powell, enough to serve about 1 million U.S. households. But this lake serves up to 40 million people. It's this is just. She wants feedback on a proposal. You know what? If you're the Interior Assistant Secretary, you should have solutions. Okay? And yeah, maybe somebody could improve on them, but she's just sitting back waiting for feedback. It's In the Colorado River Basin, Glen Canyon Dam, that's what produces the power. That's right at the end of Lake Powell, is the mammoth power production, delivering electricity to about 5 million customers in 7 states: Arizona, Colorado, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming. As Lake Powell falls, the dam becomes less efficient. At 3,490 feet, it can't produce power. So, and right now it says if levels were to fall below that mark, the 7,500 residents in the city at the lake, which is Page, Arizona, and the Navajo community would have no access to drinking water. I think a lot more people aren't going to have access to drinking water too, but this would just be right here. Page is right at the WAP Weep, WAPWEAP, the section of Lake Powell. It's right near that famous where the Colorado River does a big horseshoe bend. That's like 5 miles down the road from Page towards the southern part of the Grand Canyon. And yeah, 5 million people are dependent upon this electricity, which could just shut off. And so if it does, that means we have 5 million Americans, well, maybe not Americans, a number of Americans, plus a huge amount of illegals and invaders now moving inland to other parts of the country that still do have power and some water. But water's drying up everywhere. For 5 million people to just think they're going to go relocate somewhere does not mean that there's going to be enough water for them, just because right now there's enough water for the people that live there. So this is a very serious situation. Right. So much so, we're in crisis management and health and human safety issues, including the production of hydropower, are taking precedence, said Jack Schmidt, director of the Center for Colorado River Studies at Utah State University. Concepts like, are we going to get our water back, just may not even be relevant anymore. And I think they're talking about like water rights, because there just may not even be any water. So this coming Friday, Earth Day, April 22nd, is the deadline for that feedback from the water managers in these states here who are evaluating the proposal. But as I say, this should have never gotten to this level. These people should have been acting years ago. If this is just a catastrophe almost in the making, and because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 states and the federal government didn't step up to the plate years ago and go, wait a sec, we've got to take drastic action now. We can't let it get to a critical point in a few years. Okay? And let me tell you, if you're working at any one of the agencies in these states or in the federal government who actually would have stood up and said that and stood by it and been like, we have to address this, you would be put out the door. Okay? These people, what? No. We're just going to have Optimum, We're just going to, next winter's snowpack. And next winter's snowpack just keeps not materializing. But right here, St. George News. Now, this is right outside of Zion and St. George, Utah. And it, they say we clearly weren't sufficiently prepared. Really? This is March 16th, 2022. You know what? This is not a surprise. This lake has been dropping for years and years and years. They weren't sufficiently prepared because of the people they put in the job to do this and monitor this and come up with solutions and not let it get to absolute critical low levels. And so, in this article, they regurgitate a lot of the same information, but John Fleck, director of University of New Mexico's Water Resource Program, says, "We clearly weren't sufficiently prepared for the need to move this quickly." What? What? This has been going on for years. The water level keeps dropping, dropping, dropping. This is not a surprise. It's a surprise to people that are paid to water this, to monitor and solve this problem, but are just incompetent. Okay, they are the people that have caused this problem because severe measures should have taken place years ago. Years and years and years ago. Okay, people learn to live with using water responsibly. That right there would have kept so much water in Lake Powell. But right here, federal officials are confident water levels will rise in the coming months once snow melts in the Rockies. But they warn more may need to be done to ensure the Glen Canyon Dam can keep producing electricity, hydropower in the years ahead. "The spring runoff will resolve the deficit in the short term," said Wayne Pullen, regional director for the U.S. Bureau of Reclamation, which manages water and power in more than a dozen states. "However, our work is not done." No, it's not. And you know what? The spring runoff is not going to resolve the problem that much because there is not much spring runoff. There just isn't. There just isn't. The mountains in the west are in drought. Right here. Look at this figure, this map right here. Where was that map? Let me find it. Okay. Mountains, Utah mountains, California mountains. I mean, there is not snow in the mountains. Idaho mountains, they're not in red, but there's not snow. Colorado, they're not in red, but they're in drought, colors here. There's not snow. There's not anywhere near the amount of snow that they need to resolve this problem. However, from the tourist industry standpoint, because Lake Powell does bring a bunch of boaters out there, and so Page, Arizona, which benefits from recreation at Lake Powell, officials launched a campaign this month to highlight that lower levels aren't necessarily bad for visitors, noting receding shorelines have revealed sunken boats, canyons, and geographic wonders. There's a tremendous amount of history out there. You can see some old dwellings, and parts of the old Spanish Trail are accessible now. It's an opportunity, but it just depends on the person's frame of mind. So great, we can see all this stuff, and that's great. Except, okay, you go out there for a day in the desert and not have any water to drink. Okay, that's not going to end up being too fun of a day. Okay, so yeah, they're putting a spin on this right here for Page. They really it is based on Lake Powell. Page, Arizona actually was created from the people that were building the dam. And they built housing there for them, and then a little town started, and it's just grown and grown. I don't know, maybe less than 10,000 people live there now. It's a nice little place. But yeah, they very much are dependent upon Lake Powell for their livelihood. That is their it is big business. It's right there at the Wahweap, WAHWEAP. Basin, the marina. There's only like a few places where you can actually have access to Lake Powell, and you drive in through, desert roads to get to them. But the Wahweap, that's at the southwest corner, right outside of Page, and up here, if you're looking at a map, you have the north part of the Grand Canyon, and then you come across and you have Page and then Lake Powell up here, and Page is at the bottom of it, and you come out of Lake Page and you go south and then you go west and you're at the south part of the Grand Canyon. So they're putting a spin on it. That yeah, please, but you can't launch houseboats, but come out because there's some geographic wonders, and you can see the old Spanish Trail. However, there may not be anybody living in Page, Arizona, when they don't have electricity. You may not be able to get gas. How are you going to pump gas if there's no electricity in Page, Arizona? Okay, yeah, sure, you can get to Lake Powell. How are you going to get gas to get home if there's no electricity in Page, Arizona? So this is a very serious situation, and it is truly brought to us by a bunch of people that have, nice titles in their job title, makes them sound all important, and they have been asleep at the wheel for years and years while this problem has been getting worse and worse every year. And now that we're at historic lows, we have a plan that they're evaluating. We are not very far away from millions of people not having electricity and maybe millions more not having water. And that is going to create a lot more problems in a lot of places across this country. And why? Because we were dependent upon people whose job it is to manage this being asleep at the wheel and not taking serious action for the past at least 5 years. Like when the sign of trouble started coming and there was no end to the drought in sight is when serious action should have started been taken. And so in my thinking, they are the ones very much responsible for this potentially catastrophic situation. So stay tuned, people.